Well, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin, specifically the Bitcoin dominance today. I wish I included this in my most recent video that I made. I thought about it right after I posted it, but this, I guess it deserves its own video, you know? Let's talk about the dominance. This is more relevant to altcoins anyways. Let's talk about the dominance. Here we are on a daily perspective. Looking at it, to me, it seems as though what we did was we had our trend up. We broke that trend, started potentially a new trend down, moved up, had a lower high, and now we might be getting set up to do a lower low from here, right? I think that we are. I think if we look at this relative high here to the relative low, and I'm gonna get rid of the RSI real quick. Relative high to relative low, you went all the way up to the 786, tipped it, and we've been seeing this across crypto for months now, guys, with various different things, where you will just run right up through your golden ratio, tip your 786, and you get a nasty rejection down, right? Something that either takes you all the way down to your 236 or takes you down to lower lows, right? Lower relative lows. And I would suspect that it does take you to lower relative lows. When we break below the 236, when we break below about 56.13% for Bitcoin dominance, that's how we know that this high is a lower high and that we likely will see a lower low, okay? But just pointing this out, I think that's a very nice rejection, rejecting the golden ratio itself and then building lower. Certainly to me, it looks as though we are in the middle of a down move and we're about to resume moving down, right? So if Bitcoin itself, the dominance, instead of consolidating like this, moving kind of sideways down but very slowly, if it starts to pick up its pace to the downside like it did here, you guys remember what happened here, right? We had a little altcoin rally for a couple weeks there. This is good look. This is a really good look. This implies to me that January, potentially even starting now by the end of this month, over the next couple days, but probably through the month of January, we're going to see another one of these phases down, which is really good for altcoins. And it's something else that's important to note is that Bitcoin, whenever we see moments like this, Bitcoin normally moves up. Bitcoin normally moves up when we see sharp drops in the BTC.D. Bitcoin is not dropping in USD price. It's gaining value or consolidating. It's just not gaining value as fast as the rest of the market. That's why you see it drop off like this. So this is not a bearish thing for Bitcoin by any means. Another thing, looking at the RSI here, as you were building here in this nice, just steady trench moving upwards, you were getting overbought. You were consistently getting overbought time and time again, right? And finding support at the 50 line. If we put a line right here at the 50, the middle zone here, you can see there were times where you spent a little bit below the 50, but the majority of your existence was above the 50. Shift over here where we found this high. We're assuming it is the high. This is the top in the dominance for the Bitcoin bull cycle. Things have shifted a little bit in the RSI. We're living a lot more below the 50 than we've seen regularly, right? We are getting oversold now where we weren't getting oversold before. We are rejecting the overbought zone instead of getting into it, right? This look right here, all of this right here compared to what we just saw would agree with the idea that this is a lower high and that we are going to move down. And if it is a lower high and we are going to move down and we might be starting a new trend in the RSI, might we start a new trend in the Bitcoin dominance? My answer is yes, we might. And Trump's inauguration is on the 20th of January. That's all the way out over here, right? That's a lot of time, guys, for the dominance to tank, right? If we were to drop at the same rate, essentially, that's actually at a slower rate of growth, or decay, that would put us, we'd be at new lows by the end of the first week of January if we just picked up the same pace here, let alone if we saw something that was a little bit bigger. I theorize that this dominance here, the move down that we had, was just the beginning. And obviously it is just the beginning, but that's not what I mean, right? Here we're just figuring it out. Is this the top? Sure, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, of course it's the top down here. But now that we've moved up, it's like, is it the top? Are we going to see a higher high and then top off? Is it the top? We're wondering. As we move lower here, as it becomes obvious that not only was this the top, but this was a lower high, I think that'll give us more confidence in the altcoin markets that Bitcoin dominance is in. I'm expecting or suspecting that we will see a larger drop in dominance going into the month of January than we did going into the month or at the end of November there, going into December. And if we do, that might imply that the others chart grows more than it did in that same, why can't I? Oh, it's just others, that's right. It might grow more than it did in that same time frame, right? You look at this, BTC.D, Doesn't it look familiar? This movement here, doesn't that look somewhat familiar? It's like the inverse of this move, right? It's quite literally the inverse of this move. November 21st until December 3rd, that's when it moved down. November 5th until December 8th. So a little bit longer of a move here, but pretty similar, right? The other's chart was moving up while dominance was moving down. If we were to see a larger drop in dominance here than we saw last time, that might imply a bigger move than we saw last time, and maybe a faster move too. From the low to the high, the average altcoin, that's what this chart is, right? It's like a representation of the average altcoin. In the month of November to the very beginning of December, the average altcoin saw a 2.4x, a 138% growth. Your coin, whatever it might be, it either grew just a bit above 140% or just a bit below 140%, but something around there, right? There are plenty of coins that grew dramatically less than that. There are plenty of coins that grew dramatically more than that, but this was the average move for the average coin with this last bit of dominance drop. I have a point and I'm about to make it, okay? I expect, again, I'm saying this, and I've already provided the reasons for it, right? I'll go over it real quick one more time, why I expect this move in the dominance to be more significant to the downside, why I expect it to be bigger than this last move that we had, right? My reasoning being, here during this move, there's still the suspicion. Is it the high? Is this the top in dominance? Are we going to go higher after this? We don't know, right? And at the lows, it's pretty easy to be like, that was the high, but you still don't know. We're moving up from there, up here, and then that suspicion comes back. Is that the high? Are we going to go higher? Is Bitcoin dominance going to keep climbing? We don't know. And the difference between this last, I don't know why I can't get it right, man. There we go. The difference between this last bit of dominance dropping and what I'm expecting for the next bit of dominance dropping is that here we have the suspicion that the high might be in, but not the validation that it might be in. With this lower high and then subsequently a lower low, we have officially started a new trend. We officially have the validation that the Bitcoin dominance is in. It's undeniable, no matter who you are in the crypto markets as an analyst or a speculator, that altcoin season is starting. When that becomes an undeniable fact, my theory is we're going to get a nice pop in the altcoin. We had a nice pop already in the altcoin markets without the undeniable fact. We're about to get the undeniable fact. Might we then have a bigger pump than what we saw last time? So 138% is what we saw last time from a low here. 138%. That'd put us up at about 700 billion, just under there. That would imply an average growth for the average altcoin, something like 100%. We could still see a 2x between now and the end of January, between now and like the end of this next move for the average coin. That's possible. Or might we see something bigger? Might we see something that grows a little bit larger? If we look at our time, we look at this, yeah. We're about to break out to new highs, right, on the others chart. Okay, we're about to break out to new highs. And I would suspect that if this next move is going to be stronger than this move, right, we're obviously going to see higher highs than that. That would mean that we're breaking out to new highs overall. Cool, that's perfect. New highs overall. I want to take that high to low, and I want to take this high to low to get some significant fibs, just so we can get some areas. Okay, so now that we have that, I want to take all, there's a lot going on here, guys, I know. But 138 was the, that's what we saw last time, right? This is where we would go right here, about 691 billion if we were to see that same 138 growth from the low to that price there. That'd be 138% growth, okay? Hold on. Based off of the fibs that we have, if you were to see that kind of growth, which again, I think you're going to see more than that growth, so something more than this, you'd be above the 1618. The next minimum target from there is the 1886, and therefore also the 1272 of this much larger fib going out, which is a very, I would say, safe to assume area that we would go to. If you've broken above your 1618 on this relative fib, the next target is the 1886. If you've broken above the high here on this larger fib, this much more significant cycle fib, the next target is the 1272. They both happen to be exactly at the same price, right? 1886 there at 809 billion, 1272 at 832 billion. When you're at $800 billion, what's $20 billion amongst friends, right? So they're pretty close to each other. Not only that, but the next targets, these are just the minimum targets, right? That supersede this area. The next fib targets from again, this measurement here is based off of the move that we saw here, expecting that if we were to see from a low to a high, the exact same move, but we're not, we're expecting something bigger, then that means that we would at least exceed this. So what's the next target after exceeding this? It'd be to the 1886 to the 1272. We have a point, right? I've got a point with this. It all stems from the Bitcoin dominance. Hold on, guys. I got to clear my throat. The next target, the secondary targets, are at about $1 trillion, and that's a nice psychological area of resistance. With these areas, sometimes you fall just short, or sometimes you exceed it just a little bit, right? So seeing something just above 1 trillion could happen for this chart, and it is the secondary targets based off of these zones that we're seeing here. But all in all this is saying, let's cut to the chase, from the current price of the others chart to where I think likely it will go by the end of January. This would imply that the average coin sees something of a 2.3 to potentially a 2.6x from here, with the high potential being somewhere along the lines of like a 3 to a 3.3x. So a 2.3 to a 3.3x is essentially the given range that we have for the average altcoin to grow, right? So pick a coin, go on CoinGecko, go to CoinMarketCap, right? There will be a handful of this top 100 that underperformed that projection, that overperformed that projection, but the average coin likely will grow something about 134% or 230%, something like that, right? And we made sense out of that because we're expecting to see a stronger move than the move that led us up here. We're expecting a stronger move because the Bitcoin dominance now is about to enter its second phase down, right? We had our initial phase down, consolidated, and then having that next phase down. Not only that, if we take the relative high to the relative low here, we rejected the 786. We literally tipped the 786, and the 786 is known for nasty volatility, nasty high velocity rejections, right? And we've already kind of gotten it with these 3 days, but I think over the coming weeks, we'll start to continue moving down like this. With all this in mind, right, lower highs, lower lows, we have the confirmation that we're in a downtrend, which means we have the confirmation that the Bitcoin dominance topped off, which means that we've got more going for us on this next loss in dominance, on Bitcoin dominance, than we did this time. We might drop off more. We might see altcoins rally more. If we see altcoins rally more, we're going to get a stronger move than we did last time. And all that to agree, all that to come to the congruent ideas at these fib levels based off of very significant cycle highs and cycle lows, that we would see anything from about a 2.3x to a 3.3x. And I guess that's the whole video. So if you like the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I suppose we could make more sense out of these targets if we really want to. Let's just try something real quick. Okay, let's just real quick. Just bear with me. Okay. If dominance goes down lower, right, we're expecting a bigger move than this. That's just my premise, is that I'm expecting a bigger move than this. Okay, so from the high to the low, okay, at least to the 1272, it will be a bigger move. So we have that. Okay, so 53% to 51.5% Bitcoin dominance, 53 to 51.5% total. Okay, we're looking for more congruence of the idea of the others chart seeing prices at 832 billion to about 1.1 trillion. That's what we're looking for, okay? And I have a point. We'll get to that, okay? What did I just do? What was it? Is it the others chart? I lost my train of thought. I'm going to bring it back. Hold on. Okay, so total. That's what it was. Total. I expect this will continue to move up, right? The total market cap, even if the dominance is dropping, the total market cap can still go up, right? And I think it will go up. It probably makes a run for about 4.3 to 5.3 trillion dollars, okay? So let's just run with this, 4.3. If it sees 4.3, what would 53% of 4.3 trillion be? Let's pull out the Google calculator. 53, hold on. 0.53 of, was it 4.3? 4.3 trillion, is that right? 4.37. So we'll do 5.3 times 4.37 trillion. So that would be 23 or 2.31 trillion. Okay. So all this is saying, just bear with me, okay? If you stick with it, I promise you we'll probably get some decent results with this. All this is saying is that if the total crypto market cap out of everything, not the others chart, not just the Bitcoin chart, but everything, was to go to 4.37 and the Bitcoin dominance was to drop to 53%, then that would imply that we see a Bitcoin market cap of 2.3 trillion, right? Does that make sense? It's Bitcoins. Isn't it? Yeah, 2.3 trillion. Okay. So 2.3 trillion is what that would make sense. Out of 4.37, which would imply that there's a remaining 2 trillion left in the total market cap, right? Which would imply that there's a remaining 2 trillion left in the total market cap. Hold on. If there was 2 trillion left, then that would imply, well, that would imply higher things, my friends. Right? Because 2 trillion left, I mean, that would put this thing all the way up at $2 trillion. I mean, that would be nuts. No, it wouldn't. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. There'd be 2 trillion left, but not all 2 trillion of that would go to the others chart, would it? It would not. It would not go to the others chart. It would go to the total 2 chart, wouldn't it? Because there are coins in the top 10 that will, at a majority share, make up for that 2 trillion. This is a harder bit of math than I thought it would be. But hey, this thing's next destination is about 2.5 trillion. It's pretty close. It makes sense, and that's the one excluding Bitcoin, which is what we're looking for. I don't know. It kind of makes sense. There's probably no way to really do this the way that I was wanting to do it, so I might as well just stop there. I don't know. I was trying to make sense. I was trying to get, by deducting what we could expect Bitcoin's market cap to be after it drops in its dominance, and then applying the leftover market cap to the others chart. I was trying to get some congruence there, but there's no way to really do that, right? I would need like the top 10 chart. I would need the total of the top 10 to be able to do that, so I can't do that. So that's okay, guys. I think even here with the total 2 chart, that being pretty close to 2 trillion for the oh no, this is others. Where's the total 2? I thought we just had total 2. Was it this one? Do I have to go back? Yeah. I think this one being pretty close to 2 trillion, that's good enough for me. That shows some significance or congruence, at least with the minimum idea that we do on the others chart see a 2.3x for most coins going into the end of this next month. But I've said everything I need to say, guys. This end of the video did not go the way that I expected it to. So I'm going to end it there. Hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.